Hi, Gene here with today's thought, and today's thought is one that, well, it's more than a thought. It's actually a certainty. If you're a conservative, it's just to be thoroughly disgusted with our mainstream corporate media, our highly biased, Democrat, let's be honest, Democrat media. Most of these people, the interviewers, they're Democratic Party operatives. That's what they are, and their mission in life is not to. Well, this is the. I actually had Journalism 101, believe it or not, when I was in college these many years ago, and it was the idea was to just report the news, to find we were taught the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, why, and it doesn't seem to be. And then you would put you're supposed to be able to get the gist of the story in the very first paragraph, what they call the pyramid system. And you would start with just a paragraph that gives you everything you really need to know, and then you would expand as you go down the article. And that was so that people riding, on the bus or the subway or whatever, or over their coffee, not having a lot of time, could just skim through a newspaper and get the basic, at least the front page, and get the basic gist of the current news. But now a lot of these news stories read more like stories, and they're not. At some point, these people, journalists, I was talking about newspapers, but it's also TV, radio. You pick the media, but it's or pick the medium. They want to, quote unquote, make a difference. They want to make a difference, and they see their job as promoting certain ideas and squelching other ideas. And nowhere is more apparent than the mainstream stations, especially the one we're going to talk about today, CNN. It's nice every so often to, if you're a conservative, you can't shut yourself off running for office. If you're running for office, you're going to have to go on these stations. You try to avoid them, I guess. I don't see too many going on MSNBC, but conservatives do. And then there's CNN, which is a little bit more, Donald Trump was, and I'll get to him in a minute. Donald Trump did an interview on CNN, and the interview went so well, this is part of what I'm talking about, that he hasn't been invited back since then. You may remember when he was running for office the first time in 2016, every station, the most liberal ones, MSNBC, they loved to have Donald Trump on. They all, because it boosted their ratings, and because they thought he was digging himself a hole, that he had no chance of winning, and that every interview that he did on would hurt him even more. Lo and behold, Trump won, and they completely reversed. So CNN, this is when one of these liberal hosts talking heads gets called out. It's really wonderful to see, if you're a conservative, if somebody does it really, really well, to remind everybody, to demonstrate how biased the media is, and to criticize them on their bias and how it affects their behavior. And one behavior that I especially don't like or dislike or hate is this: when interviewing conservatives, asking questions designed to hurt the conservative, the politician being interviewed. Not only that, but to make them squirm or be uncomfortable on TV in front of the American people, and thereby help elect Democrats, the Democratic opponent, which is what these talking heads now see as their mission in life, what they dedicate their careers to. So when somebody does it really well, it's glorious to see. And I'm going to show you a video. You're going to see it in a second. The person being interviewed is Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy, I'm never going to vote for him in a primary, put him that way. If he ever won a primary and he was the Republican nominee, I would vote for any Republican. But he's good at making, what he's really good at, what I love about him, he is really good at calling out the media, and that's what you're going to see. Now, he's being interviewed on CNN by some CNN talking head, and as I said, her whole point is to make him uncomfortable. So Donald Trump gave a speech some time ago, not too long ago, and he was talking about the left and how dangerous they are to this country, the damage that they are doing, that everybody can see since Biden became president, and he's totally controlled by the left. So we see the damage of the policies, the unlimited, basically millions of unlawful aliens flooding the country, rising crime, shoplifting, organized shoplifting, because these local prosecutors will not prosecute shoplifters, and when they do, they reduce it's such a minor misdemeanor. They're out on the street the next day. So what is the point? They're out on the street the same day. So Trump described these people as vermin. He used the word vermin, and this talking head that's all she wanted to talk about, not the issues, not she's interviewing Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running for president. Nothing about his policy ideas or his opinions or this or that, except for his opinion of Donald Trump's using this one word, vermin, and that's all she wanted to know about. And the response of Vivek Ramaswamy's response is just glorious to see. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Here's Vivek.
That language, they live like vermin. Do you believe that is, as your Republican colleague Chris Christie has said, neo-Nazi rhetoric?
This is a classic mainstream media move. Pick some individual phrase of Donald Trump, focus on literally that word without actually interrogating the substance of what's at issue.
The word was chosen for a reason. We are in the middle of a cultural war in this country. The word was chosen for a reason. It's actually describing a series of behaviors. You have Antifa and other related groups that have been burning down cities for the last 3 years in this country. Would you describe them as vermin?
Wildly violating the rule of law. We have an invasion on our southern border. We have millions of people crossing our southern border. Let's talk about the substance of why we have to recognize that we're not in ordinary times.
Would you use that language yourself?
The vocabulary of the vermin or not is not what's important. Well, I haven't used that language. So you can look at my track record on the campaign trail. I talk about the issues. We all talk about them differently. But what I'm not going to do is play some game of focusing on some word that somebody else said without ignoring entirely the substance of what we're actually talking about. A border crisis of historic proportion. Economic stagnation we haven't seen in 50 years. A national identity crisis and the loss of national pride in the next generation that's potentially existential for this country. Let's talk about our dependence on China. Today we're actually talking about Xi Jinping, picking on Donald Trump's word vermin to talk about that status quo. You know what's vermin? What's running around San Francisco on a given day before Gavin Newsom cleaned it up on a dime to roll out the red carpet for Xi Jinping. If he could do that for Xi Jinping, he could have done it on an ordinary day, and yet we're here sitting talking not about the substance of that, but on one word that Donald Trump said in some speech in Miami. This is what's wrong with the mainstream media. Focus on the substance and let's have an actual policy debate rather than talking to a presidential candidate instead of the policy substance of what's actually going on in the country, picking on some word that Donald Trump said on a certain day and asking me for comment on it. Give me a break.
That's my thought for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. If you could share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it, that would really be great too. Most of all, because they're not mutually exclusive. You know, you can subscribe and share the video and maybe get others to subscribe. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.